Hello, hello, hello. What is good, guys? Mauro from Design Syndrome here. Glad to see you again. This is the Design Dojo, a space on my YouTube channel when we aim to forget a little bit about trends and effects, all the stuff that really comes and goes. And we want to here venture a little bit deeper into the dark and try to hone in and develop our fundamentals, the stuff that I really believe that once developed can really start to bleed out and nurture all areas of your creative life. So if you want to become a design ninja, you're at the right place. Welcome to the Design Dojo. How you guys doing? Assignment number 10. We are almost halfway. I don't think we are a bit tight on schedule for all the assignments. So if you're new to this is the Design Dojo, which is a space on my Discord channel. I'm going to show you a little bit now where we tackle fundamental design principles through assignments, through structured assignments, community feedback, all the good stuff over on the Discord. And these live streams are for me to explain some of the assignments, some of the assignments, some of them I will be doing live. And yeah, this is typographic systems, at least an entry to it. I feel like especially if you're self-taught, like we are all designing like one-off pieces, you know what I mean? We're designing a poster here, a cover there, and I feel one of them, I think it's the main difference, right? Really from someone who is a graphic designer, like a proper graphic designer, and someone who is not. Maybe you're an illustrator, maybe you make posters, right? But I think the key thing that makes you a graphic designer is to be able to design an experience through a sequence of pieces, not just one piece, but to be able to design the language which communicates a bunch of pieces. You know what I mean? To be able to not just make a cool merch, but to make a collection, to make an album art, and to make a full vinyl drop. And to be able to make the CD case and the CD print and a poster, and how to tie everything together. Well, that's a system. And I feel the best vehicle for this is to do an editorial type system, because it's the one that's going to get you to do, it's going to allow you to compartmentalize everything in a much more clear way, And I think it's key to start here and then move outwards from there. But yeah, let me know how you're doing, guys, before I just jump into the show you. I think I discovered a new way of doing the briefs, because now I'm doing a Figma board with everything there. The link to the Figma board that you'll be seeing now, it's on the assignment board. You can join the Discord, the Dojo Discord from the links below. So that's gonna be it. Yo, where's my chat, bro? Here, guys, how everyone doing? Let's go. So glad to see you here, guys. So just to do a little vibe check, any of you had any experience trying to design? This assignment, it's also really great to work on branding projects. Really, an editorial type system, it's just a way to compartmentalize it. But systematic design, it's everywhere. It's in app design, it's in branding, in everything. It's just how you find that nice narrative of constant and variables that really give life to a design system. It's not just random decisions. But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. But let me ask you that, guys. Like, how many of y'all had some experience doing systems? Oh, my chat is not. Let me put my chat, sorry, on the screen. There. You should see it now. Let's go. So let me check the Discord. So we're live now. Let me show you the Discord a little bit, just to... So let's go. This is the Design Dojo Discord. And once you're in here, you're going to try to find the Design Dojo 2026. And on the type systems, here you have the full brief, which is a PDF you need to download. And we're going to be using I made a free mockup to use for this. I'm going to be showing you that in a little bit. But yeah, DIMA, literature exposure to InDesign, an overlapping design system for UX, but nothing this involved. Okay, for UX. Okay, let's go. So okay, let's jump into the. Let's just jump into the briefing, my guys. Oh, and something really quick. If you're new to this, the Design Dojo is completely free. You can just jump in any skill level. If you're new, it will be really good for you because there isn't that much content out there to really structure the learning of the fundamentals. And these are exercises that I did in uni and some others that I came up with myself. So these are, I feel, looking back at them, I think it's really interesting in a really cool way. And also, if you're already versed in design, and maybe you got good at it by being self-taught, you know what I mean? And the dojo has come really handy to me to revisit a lot of the stuff. And since we started the dojo a couple of years ago, my work has improved a lot from just revisiting this, and to really be in contact, because it's a feedback loop. It's not like I'm teaching you. It's like we are discussing this stuff in the dojo, and we all get better. We all learn from each other. That's the key thing of it being a community thing. So hop into the Design Dojo. Oh, and one thing that I wanted to show you, like once you enter the Discord, like go to the server settings, the server guide, and read the guide. Read the Dojo guide because it has some nice tips. There is also the link to the first stream that we did in which I talk about how to participate, and so you take the most out of the experience, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's just hop in there. If you want to support, you can become a Patreon or get on my website, buy a texture, whatever it is. So let's hop into the briefing, my guys. Hello from Puerto Rico. Let's get it. So let's do typographic systems. Oh, it's not my camera. There. YouTube chat. Let me move this a little bit. There. So, okay, let's start from here, right? Assignment brief type system. This Notion board you're gonna have the link to on the debriefing and on the Discord, the server, on the assignment board. So the deliverables, right? System of 4 typographic editorial spreads with minimum 6 distinct hierarchy levels across the system. Choose a subject from the list at the end of this brief. We're gonna take a look at that in a little bit. Use provided a free mockup for presentation. Is this one that's here. I'm gonna show you how to use it later because it's a free form. You can change the form to whatever you want. Free format, you can make the booklet or the book as whatever format you want. So play with that. Black and white, you can use one accent color, all digital. AI is allowed for research of the subject matter that you're gonna pick, right? So the brief, this assignment is about hierarchy, not as a visual trick, but as a tool to carry information. Because in the previous assignments of the dojo, we were using hierarchy in a more like a powerful move, like a power move. We would make the big shapes and then a little something little in the composition to add tension. Here we're just using it to communicate, right? What's the difference between a title and an annotation, in our graphic system? So here we're gonna be a lot more deliberate on how we use the hierarchy step, right? So the way a reader moves through a page, what they see first, what pulls them in, and what they skip and return to. We are introducing now the idea of systems. We're going to now be using the idea of systems, but coming off of what we talked about the sequence. You can do this in Affinity. You can do this wherever you want, my guy. I'm gonna show in Adobe, but you can use whatever you want. Because here we are dealing with like conceptual issues. It's not that much a matter of the tool itself. So yeah. Idea of systems, constants and variables that create emphasis, rhythm, and clarity. We talked about this a little bit when we did the sequence, which was assignment number 3. Guys, if you're new to this, like you can just jump out the deep end, or you can start from the beginning. I would advise you, if you want to do some other assignment, you're just jumping in, do the typographic collage sketch. Like go into the assignment boards and see what others were making, see the feedback, and you're gonna learn a lot from it. You don't need to do all the assignments. Oh, and this is also true for people that are just joining in, and maybe I hear this a lot, you don't have the time to do the assignments or whatever it is. You can just participate in the community, like just hop into the Discord, see what people are doing. give your opinion, because I feel one of the most important things about the dojo is like you talk about design. You don't just consume it like in your feed and never talk about it, like, and give your opinion past a simple like, you know, say what you think about the piece with the context of the brief, right? Actually talk design like you were talking to a team, or trying to figure it out. That's where you're going to learn the most. So if you are not able to do the assignments, participate in the conversations, watch the streams, whatever it is, you're going to learn. So let's go back to this. Sorry guys, there. Okay, you're going to pick one of the authors or directors listed at the end of this brief and design a typographic system around them. They are not here for academic rigor. They are here as an excuse for you to have real information to design around. Gather all the information you can, then develop a typographic system around it over the span of 4 typographic spreads with distinct and mixed topologies. Now, what the hell is a topology? A topology is the functional type of any piece. You know, what job is it doing, and what behavior it's triggering from the one that's viewing it. You know, an index or a glossary or a recipe is not meant to be read at the same way as an article or a biography or a textbook. You know what I mean? So I separate topologies in 3 main categories based on the behavior they are intended. So these are reading pages, consulting pages, and display pages, you know? So reading pages could be a article, biography, essay, interview, letter, a manifesto, review, short story. So the intended use is for linear and continuous reading, you know? So you just lay your eyes on them and scan them in your traditional reading style. I don't know if you're from Japan, maybe you read in a different orientation, right? But it's meant to scan the entire page and to read all the information so you get the substance of the text. Here I have some examples, and also I gather some other examples here. Reading topologies. You see, these are all the pages that have its majority, its primordial element is just text. You know, and we're gonna start to see when we start talking about the other topologies how it's a really mixed bag. It's not just the pages are pure topologies, you know what I mean? But here are some examples of stuff that I want you to try. Try being crazy with how you place your text, right? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just continue with the brief. Then we have consultation pages. These are the ones that for me are the most fun to design, because it's where you can get really granular and really flex your composition there, you know what I mean, with a lot of hierarchy levels and dates and real go crazy with the micrographics and all that good stuff. So consultation pages are meant for non-linear reading, are for you to scan through, look for what you're looking for, and you scan through them to look for information. You are not reading the entire thing. And some you might, but there is much more emphasis on labeling and alignment to relate the information. So that's really key about consultation pages, right? Index, glossary, bibliography, table of contents, timeline, all that good stuff, you know? Appendix, annotated text, so reference text, you know? So here I have also some consultation topologies, right? So pay attention to these examples, guys, because these are really good. And when you're making yours, like downright rip these off, you know? Like copy some elements here, not like rob them from here, but okay, try to make a board like this one, right? Or annotation like the running header. Try to make it similar to this one and try to understand how is it working, right? This is a family tree. I think this is a poster, but you see how it's a poster, but it has a pretty consultational piece, like topology, you know, you can start to see it better. This is the same. See how you have very minimal ones and others that graze a little bit more on looking like reading pages, right? A catalog. Right, this is more like I don't know if this is a Bible, but it has that nomenclature. I don't remember how is it called, this, when you have the little labeling just before the text to tell you what it is. You know, this is an index, right? So here are all ideas of stuff you can do, you know. And one key thing that I remember my teachers told me, like, don't underestimate the viewer, the one who's reading the page, right? Like, if it's designed to work like an index, you don't need to write the word index. I mean, you can if you want, but I rather to be it be like more elevated and just design it as an index. Make it really clear that this is the chapters, this is the page. You don't need to put index. You know, the same way you don't put title and what's the title. You just put the name of the work, and given the rhythm that you're having on the spreads, you're gonna need it. Yeah, need the mood board link for this one, sir. Let's go. The mood board link, it's on the assignment board, my guys. Log in. Log the fucking. You know what I mean? Let's go. So let's keep moving. And lastly, we have display pages. These are the ones that set the tone and are communicating also, but in the way they work, not necessarily on the substance of what they are writing, you know. He sent an arena link on the Discord server. No, the arena link is for another thing. The arena link that I sent was because I found a really cool board that I want you to see, but it's not related to this. But yeah, like this board, it's on the assignment board. Let's go watch for that. So yeah, a poster, a cover, anything that is giving you a feel for what the book is about and giving a lot of emphasis in a word or in a phrase, or it's communicating more like an image or like a poster, not necessarily in what it's saying. It's more important how it's saying it and what it's displaying and how it's showing it than what it's actually saying, right? It's all a mix, but I'm just talking in terms of the topology, right? But then the reality of the matter is like it's a mix. We are not going for pure topological pages like you were making a standard reading book, you know, that it has just the main text, maybe some annotations, and that's it. For this assignment, the real magic happens when you start mixing different topologies in the same page. Maybe a biography article that has a timeline, you know, a consulting timeline that's running through it, you know, maybe on the bottom, or maybe it's overprinting on top of the text. You can go really crazy with it. When you combine two topologies, some hierarchies will be shared. You know, both might use annotations, and both should have the same caption style maybe. Others will be unique to each. That overlap, it's part of the system, right? Because you may have an article that has some annotations, and those annotations maybe will go to the margin, right? But if the same page, maybe you have an interview that's formatted in a different way. We'll talk about that. I'm going to show you some examples now so you get what I mean, but you're going to need to make a decision. Is the annotation from the interview going to be the same color-coded and how do you say, the same hierarchy will look the same, the formatting will be the same as the one that's from the article? Or I'm going to separate two hierarchy levels for annotations that are from the interview and annotations that are from the main article, you know? So those are decisions you're going to need to make. And talking about it like this, it looks like a lot. Talking like this, it looks like a lot, but once you start designing and start to see the pieces, it's going to be far more manageable having this in mind, right? So those decisions that carry across different topologies are the ones that make the whole thing feel more like a coherent piece. And within those overlapping structures, you need to develop your typographic system. And here I'm showing you, for example, this page has display, reading, and consultation elements all in one, right? So it has this main body of text that is giving you already a feeling of the text itself. Then you have the reading, and then you have, of course, the subtitles, the headings, and there is some consultation information here, right? That's talking about the text. You have images. Now, what is a system? First, you have the elements of your system, right? Which can be a grid, font choices, body, the headers, a main display font, right? And about this assignment, something that's important is that this not only applies to typographic systems. This applies to everything. So for us now, our elements might be our grid, font choice, color choice, the fonts, right? But also treatment, what effects we use. Maybe there is a certain effect that we only use in images that are for title sequences, and when those images go in the margins because they are annotation, maybe they don't use that effect, right? So it's like when you do a mise en place for cooking, the mise en place, you put all your ingredients and you start to say, okay, in this part it goes these two ingredients, in the title page goes these two ingredients, and then you start to mix and match them according to how extensive your system is and the spots you want to use them, okay? And there are parts of your system in which you'll use all the ingredients, right? Or also part of the system is how we use those elements. So alignment, color, font size, kerning, and leading. Any modifiable attribute or operation we can do with our elements is part of the system. Now, a system is a set of decisions, of rules that streamline operations within a sequence of design pieces. It codes information in the structure of the elements themselves and not in the content, right? This is because, let's say I'm gonna do mine about Dostoevsky, right? About the literature of Dostoevsky. The text what I'm saying can be really oppressive, right? But we're graphic designers, right? So what happens if I try to make my grid and make the way I use my elements in a very oppressive way also? So I'm communicating in another way apart from what I'm saying. I'm not saying like you should do this for this assignment. I'd rather you focus on play with a lot of hierarchy levels, play with the editorial stuff, and try to make it look cool. Don't focus on it trying to make sense or have a concept, because this is an introduction to this. If we manage to do it, the better. And yeah, I'll talk about that in a little bit more, but a system makes words cohesive, understandable, and somewhat predictable over its duration. This, of course, is a standard definition of a system. I feel a strong graphic system, at some point it needs to break to add emphasis and tension, right? A disruption in a consistent system, it's louder than any of the pieces of the system can be in and of themselves, right? The break only means something because there is a cohesive system that came before it. So build the system first and then try to see where you break it. For this, I'm going to show you. Here I have more examples. Here I have fuller systems, right? For example, look at this system. It's pretty homogeneous. It's pretty closed. It's pretty tight system, it's pretty, you can see the elements clearly, how it lays the information, how I don't know if this is a pull quote. You see, this is a chapter. Clearly, all chapters are going to be displayed this way. This is a pull quote, right? So a part of the text that he wants to highlight, he's going to do it like this, right? So I feel that this system is lacking a breaking point in the middle that does something different, so it creates something new. For example, this system, it's pretty wide. It's pretty loose because it has a lot of, you can see the system because you can see the somewhat decisions that are linking in together. I feel the most important decision here is color, but you can see the grids. Here is like 4 grids that at some points it merges into 2 columns of 2, right? He's using the images at a full bleed in the segments. You can see the decisions. It lacks legibility. Yeah, but that doesn't matter here. We don't care about we don't care about legibility now, right? I rather guys you make something like this now in this stage, right? And I rather you make something like this now. This is completely bonkers. Like, look at this system. This is like, try to analyze this system because this one is pretty up there. It's really it's really crazily developed, and you need a lot of finesse to be able to pull something like this off. It looks easy, but it's not. There is something in the alignment, in the gray of text. I'm going to show it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. For example, Look at this system, right? The decisions are in how the typography is used for the titles, for the faces of the figures, right? I don't know what's the text about, but you could say like these are political figures that maybe they feel they are bigger than the rest. That's why they are all laughing and they are going to the edge of the paper. So there is a certain decision and rivalry in how this typographic system is used. But this is a more nuanced decision, right? I want you maybe guys to focus on stuff like that, like this, you know? Something like this. Try to emulate this, you know, try to find information and try to structure it. So let's go back to what I was saying. The Figma file, it's on the assignment board, guys, on the Discord channel. So for example, how you format annotations will be, here I'm talking about the system and when to break it, right? The way you format annotations may be the same in the entire system of spreads, right? But let's say I'm doing Dostoevsky, right? I'm doing Dostoevsky and I'm doing a biography and I'm showing a timeline with all the publications, right? And I'm on the timeline, however I choose to do it, I'm going to put all the books in the same formatting style. So the title will be in a certain typography, maybe I'll add an icon, I'll add where he wrote it, I'll add the year in another kind of cool way, I'll add a short paragraph maybe, I could add a small list of characters, right? Imagine all of these little details designed, you know, in a cool way. But maybe I break the system in maybe a Brothers Karamazov, I think it's best work. Maybe Brothers Karamazov on the timeline sits differently. I do something a bit different for Brothers Karamazov, and I make it stand out, you know, and that's how you break the system for that part, right? There is a bunch of, you can do that in a bunch of ways, in a bunch of hierarchy levels across your system of pieces, right? So maybe a small subset of annotations have a variable that adds emphasis to that specific hierarchy level. So play with this idea in your spread sequence. Now the grid. This is the part, this is the part most of y'all maybe want to know. So a lot of people use grids wrong. We lay out I say we because I sometimes do this, and it's okay for some cases to do this, but we sometimes lay out completely random set of guides that ends up constraining creativity more than enabling it. No, grids need to work with the information we have and not against it. What I mean this is like, first try to gather all your informations and before you set a single line, because if you already set a grid, it's gonna condition your entire composition. Start playing like we did previous assignment with the sketch, or just start laying text. I'm gonna try to do a little experiment here before we end, because it's gonna be fun to show you, you know. Sorry, non-dual oscillator is asking, so 6 hierarchy levels might be grid, color, size, font, kerning, leading, micro images. No, I'm going to show you now. Those are elements, are not hierarchy levels, right? I'm going to show you. So first, try to start placing some elements. Maybe you place a body of text, then you place the title, maybe a subtitle, maybe some annotations, and you start playing with the positioning. And once you get something you like, you start to lay some lines and see where your alignment is, where you're wanting to do. First, make something like a poster. Make something that looks really cool, that you're really drawn to, and there start to lay the lines on that you're making, right? So before you place a single line, start playing, put some things down intuitively, and see what grid starts to reveal itself, right? Where are things naturally wanting to align? What column structure is emerging from just your instincts, right? Use that as your standing point, and then at some point formalize the grid. For this assignment, I'm going to show you the one that I made at uni. I used to do my grids like by hand. I don't use the built-in grid tools on Photoshop or Illustrator. I just make the grid myself and set it in a different layer and play with the opacity, and I enable it and disable it, right? That way you can make an asymmetric grid, because not all grids need to be like perfectly orthogonal and symmetric. You're gonna have much more it's gonna be far more interesting for your composition if you make a grid that's unique for your work. The grid needs to help you make design decisions, not for and help you in the sense that you don't need to think every time. Once you decided in this part of the grid, the annotations are gonna sit and are gonna behave in that way, that's a decision, and you run it like code till you want to break that part of the system. So the grid is not a cage, it's there to help you make decisions. What I was wanting to say before is, like, if we all use the same grid, we are going to arrive at the same, practically same solution, because the grid is actually starting to organize our information, right? So the grid is not a cage, it's there to help you make decisions. As your system develops, your information and composition will start to ask for more concrete things out of your grid, like a certain column to be wider or a row to be higher. So you need to adjust accordingly, right? So you're going to start to place information and you're going to realize, oh, maybe I could add a really cool like micrographic labeling on the side. So you make a specific grid column for that, right? That's unique to you because you found a way in which you need a label to organize certain information that's relevant to your author that it won't be relevant to me. You know what I mean? That's where it starts to get, that's when you start to design with a grid, actually, So references, yeah, it's basically a guideline of where you want your elements to be. You can totally do this with no grid also. You'll be completely kamikaze. But yeah, a grid is just a way of, grids. Like, you can go watch a tutorial on grids, but I feel like most tutorials on grids give you like a pretty cookie cutter way of looking at grids that's very like Swiss and leaves you like really stranded. It results in the same designs, right? So I'd rather you use grids for alignment and just the organizing of the information. But here's something that I want to arrive at. So here are some grid reference measures for you to use. So bleed, 3 millimeters, margins, 20 millimeters, inner margin, which is the margin from the inside to the first column. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They feel grids are the end all be all. Like, with a good grid, you can cook, but it sets a cap if you don't know how to use them. I never use grids, guys. Like, I never use them. Only, I don't know, if I have a client that needs a system of pieces, then I might use a grid, But for this particular exercise, I feel it's important. A gutter, which is the space between columns. This is important because the gutter is the space between your columns and your rows. You need this to be wide enough so when you split the text into two columns like this, both columns don't get read as one, you know what I mean? So this is important. The grid is not as important as the rules you make around it. That's what's important of the grid, not the grid itself. It's what you decide according to the grid, right? Some examples of rules. Annotations will always sit on the outer margin, 7 points, Helvetica regular, flush left, never inside the main content area. That's a rule of your typographic system. All interview text is set in 2 columns, italic, with a solid rule above the first question and a byline always present at the end, Section heading, always break the grid. Sorry, this is another one. The section heading always breaks the grid, full bleed, display size, the only element that's allowed to touch the margins. These are decisions made based on the design, but based on your grid and having the grid as an element that they are allowed to break. Some other elements are not to break the grid. I don't think you really need them. I mean, they are super useful to establish, maybe not the grid. Like this document, I made it with a grid. This is made with a grid. I didn't lay the lines. Like my grid is this vertical line, this one, this one, this one. It's 4 rows. I didn't set out the grid. I didn't draw the grid, but I designed with that in mind. You know what I mean? Like I intuitively used the grid. You don't need to lay the lines, but you need a certain map out the structure of your design, so you have the building blocks to play. Here I didn't need to be super expressive, that I needed something super different. But there are also typographic rules in this document that I made. You can really easily just do it by eye and just have a couple of rules to have a certain feel to it. Yeah, that's true, but once you start doing a big typographic system or something like we will do here, you will need a grid, most likely than not, you know? Like, good luck doing a grid, something like this without a grid. Like, I wish you the best of luck. Something like this. Good luck doing something like this without a grid. But maybe you don't do something like this. Maybe you do something like this. I don't feel this was done. This do a very minimal grid, but there are decisions here that are unique for this, and maybe this doesn't need a grid. You know, it would be so built different if some of you made something like this. You know, but let's let's go back to this type system. Now we're going to talk about the elements of our typographic system. So build your hierarchy from the body text up, right? Get your typographic gray right first. This is your main text body, formatting like size, leading, measure. Comfortable and readable with a good uniform texture across the column with no spottiness or rivers. Then build everything else in relationship to it. You know? This is a gray of text. The gray of text, it's something that it really tells when you're an amateur designer or you're a pro, really. You know to design a gray of text. I remember there was this rule of thumb that if you squint your eyes, you need to see like a solid sheet of gray when you look at text, a reading text, right? Let me see if I can find, for example, you see these spaces here that is in the text itself. Here it's more stylistic, right? So we'll allow it. So it's a style choice, right? But here it has rivers. You see that spottiness here. There is a space here, space here. This is a no-no in reading text. For this piece in particular, I feel he's being like really out there, and it's maybe a stylistic choice. The composition is really solid, but for reading text, like a solid sheet of text like this one, you have to pay attention to those rivers and to those spottiness. So the best way to fix that is to put everything flush left, you know. And if you're going to do justified, you need to go into each of the lines where you see a river and play with the spacing of the words on the kerning till you get rid of that inner space, right? So try to make at least one really clean gray of text, you know, so you can show people that you can do a gray of text and you know what it means. And when a client asks you something, you can say there is a river there, you know, so you can flex on them. And also be aware of not living like orphans. An orphan is this. This is an orphan. When you have a jump line, a line jump, and you have 1 or 2 letters like really, really short, this is an orphan. Like you should always try to go, oh, this is not editable, sorry. You should always try to have the bottom line be like a full phrase or something, so it doesn't break the reading, you know. So you don't go like the jump between levels should be felt, you know. The jump between levels should be felt on the bottom line, you know. Main body, this is just body text standards for the main body, right? So font size 10 to 14 points. Leading, which is the height for the line, should be between 120% to 140%. It's going to give you a more aired text or more compressed feeling on your gray of text. 45 to 75 characters per line. This is just the bloody like standard. If you want to do whatever else you want to do, you can do it. Let me show you something. This is caps lock. Actually, I have my other camera here because we are a cool channel now. So I have this here. What's good, chat? So we have caps locks here. Go to book. And let me show you. You see, this is a pretty big font to read, right? But this book has a really cool like typographic system here. You see, that's pretty big. That's bigger than 10 or 40 points, right? So that's one. I have another one. Wait a little bit. Like this is Demons from Dostoevsky. And look at this. You see, this is really small typography, right? We have multiple cameras, bro. I want to show you stuff. Let's go. Back to cinema. Okay. Yeah, but maybe you'll do annotations. Maybe your annotations will be 8 points, 6 points. Like, don't get too caught up on the sizes, because try to work on real size, like a real size, and make a real like big book. We are not gonna print it. You can if you can. If you can, print your shit and see it printed. But try to work big. Work big so you have a lot of space to do a lot of hierarchy levels. We are not designing this for the screen, right? I want you to have a room to play with hierarchy levels, so try to make it big. Here is a chart I made. For example, I found this that had a lot of hierarchy levels that I'm trying to explain them now, right? So editorial hierarchy levels, reference sheet. These are the ones that I could identify. Actually, I did this with these ones I asked to Claude, and he gave me, because I couldn't think of the actual names, but I know how to place them, so. What if we put all of our works into a magazine? That's not gonna work for this assignment, but I'll talk about it later. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that this year, actually, but it's the last assignment, but we'll talk about it later. So a title, a subtitle, section title, body text. Oh, sorry. Right? So editorial hierarchy levels, reference sheet. Title, subtitle, section title, subheading, body text, stand first. Here it's telling you what the levels are, right? And here are just some, right? Because you need to look at your information and see what's pertinent to you, right? Maybe you have maybe, I don't know, I'm decomposing the references of my chosen writer, right? I chose Dostoevsky, and I'm doing like, he got inspired by Nietzsche a lot. He liked Nietzsche. So I'm saying, no, actually, I don't know if that's right. I don't remember if they were contemporaries. I think it was the other way around, like Nietzsche, like Dostoevsky. It doesn't matter. Like, maybe I'm saying, okay, his inspirations, and I'm doing like a special charting when I want to make emphasis in what countries they were. So I have a specific hierarchy level that's to signal the country of that particular inspiration, So for example, this one, this is crazy, right? It looks like a lot of information, but he's doing a main text that has a custom labeling with the first phrase of the email. I think this is a recapitulation of emails. I don't understand the context of the book, but I think these are emails, right? So here he's doing the email, and he's using the first word of the email here, like as an intro, and he's using this little graphic to do some sort of labeling. So it's labeling plus a first phrase. This is a custom hierarchy level that he chose to pick to format his specific information that he had, You know what I mean? And then to decide, he did some annotations. I don't know if this is like the day, the email, or how it was sent. I don't know if it was a letter. At the end, he has a byline, right? So here, who wrote the email and some images on the text. So these are the parts you're gonna need to design, right? You're gonna do a movie director, so you need to go, okay, Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey. When was it filmed? When was it edited? And then you can start to think of, because you can do date and when it was released, or you can start look, okay, where, in what studio was it mastered, and then you make a specific hierarchy level with annotations to say the studio with everything, you know, the studio, where was it mastered, where the locations it was filmed, you know. But you need to think about what information you need, and if you get creative on the information, you can get more creative in the layout, you know. But that's important. This is a key question for everyone that always asking me, how do you know what to put on your posters? This is a massive assignment for that, because you need to be also creative in what information do I get? You know, it's like you can be simple and say he was born in Russia this and this year, right? And you can go, his father also worked in here, he was also a writer, and you can do maybe like a family tree, and you put the references to the father. And maybe if you don't have all the information, you can just make stuff up also, you know. But I'm just thinking, be creative in the way you try to decompose the information so you have stuff to pull from. Remember, the key here is that you research the guys that and the authors and authoresses I'm gonna give you, and the point is that you get involved in the information. But the main thing for this is that you learn to do hierarchies and you learn to do editorial. So if you arrive at a really cool composition and you're lacking the information, just make the stuff up, you know. So here he has more an appendix with related text. Here's the running footer, you know. So it's the name of the author and some information. This run in all the pages, right? So that's a constant a classic constant in editorial. It's the running footer and the running header. This one doesn't have a running header, but you see here we have an asymmetry. For example, the grid on the left side, it has this. This is showing like the row number. Why is it showing the row number? I don't know, but it looks cool, so let's go. You know, and the appendix for related text, it's only showing at the end of the second spread. You know, maybe in other part of the book it shows in both. I don't know, because I don't have the full publication, right? But that's what I mean. The grid doesn't need to be symmetrical. You see, for example, these annotations that here sit in this column, in the other page they sit below the text, right here and here. But that's a rule. If that's a rule, then it's okay, you know. And those are the patterns that start to emerge that make the thing look cool. I need to drink some water. Ask me some questions, guys. If there's any particular doubt or anything, like, just let me know. We'll talk about it. So yeah, we arrive at the authors. Here's the list for you to pick one of these literary authors or movie directors. The idea is for you to use them as an excuse to populate your typographic composition with real information. Now the research is part of the assignment too. Right? So here we have the dudes. So Fyodor Dostoevsky, Franz Kafka, Jorge Luis Borges, Gabriel García Márquez, Haruki Murakami, Italo Calvino, Virginia Woolf, Clarice Lispector, Sylvia Plath, Toni Morrison. Film: Andrei Tarkovsky, Bergman, Kubrick, Kurosawa, Barda, Kawai, Coppola, Ackerman, Ramsey, Dennis. It looks like a lot, but once you start rolling, you'll see it's much easier to manage with this that I explained. Bro, let's go. I'm getting paid, bro. Right? But again, if I go back to this is pretty cookie cutter. Like, if you can make something like this, that's cool. But I want you to, for example, This is all pretty Swiss design, you know, but you can make something like this if you find the structure, you know. You can make it really, remember that it's a rule. You're just following certain rules. For example, look at this one, right? Maybe it's all set vertically, right? I like how the folio it's on this one for the pages, right? So it's asymmetrical. In the left page, it's on the bottom, and the right page is on the inside, on the top, right? But this is interesting also, you know, something like this. There was one really cool here. For example, look at this. This is cool. You can make something like this, right? But first you need to see your information, see where it sits, and act accordingly, you know what I mean? So what to gather, right? Building your world. Collect as much raw information as possible. The more content you have, the more your system will get tested. Collect as much raw information as possible. Oh yeah, I'm reading the same thing again, sorry. You can use LLMs for this. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, allowed for the gathering of information. You know, you can use them for research. Some examples of you can look for: biography, plot summaries, essays or reviews they gave or gotten, you know, but magazines or whatever. Prefaces they wrote, letters, Wikipedia long sections, publisher work description, you know, what a certain publisher says about their work, obituaries, etc. For information, you can look for biography, key dates, published work with dates, awards, famous quotes or passages, influences, contemporaries, key themes or ideas they talked about in their work, critical reception, personal details, character descriptions of the characters in their books, you know. Everything you can think about them or their work, you can use as an excuse to have a conduit for information that you can use in your compositions, you know. Now, direction. Some tips. Gather all the information you can on your selected author. The more you have, the better. Read your information, it will inspire you. Get accustomed to them. Like, if you don't know any of these authors, these are classic makers, you know, like it's important for you also to get in touch with elements of culture that is gonna inspire you, you know. Actually, one of the key ideas came from from Boris Karmasov that pushed me to do the Dojo. You know, these ideas gets repeated to you the more culture you're in contact with, movie, literature, going out with your friends, you know, the more you're engaged, you're with it, the more these ideas that push you to do work that's more meaningful get reinforced in you. So maybe try to read some of the pieces of these dudes, not for this assignment because some of them are long, but give it a go, bro. Like, they are so inspiring. So get to know them. Maybe if you are drawn to some of them, never picked up any from them, maybe it's a movie director or whatever, watch any of the movies, try to pick up some of the books. There are short stories. So yeah, it will give you much more to chew on, you know, not in the sense of maybe particularly information, but a feeling, you know. What does it feel to read this dude, right? What is it particularly about him, of the way they treat a certain subject, that's going to give you a tool to design with, you know, in the sense of how does this feels. So start playing with composition in Illustrator. Don't be overwhelmed, just play till you find something cool. We already talked about this. Lift the grid out of your initial sketches. Look for alignment and spaces to place editorial elements. Try to establish rules within your system, right? So maybe you arrived at a really cool title or subtitle and the formatting for your main body of text, and you say, okay, okay, this is it. This is how I'm gonna lay out my titles, my subtitles, my pull quotes, and you're gonna start to parse information, right? And you're gonna say, maybe in this page you have 2 chapters and a little interview, right? Or maybe the interview, it's printed over the design. I'm not saying like it needs to be real Swiss, real cute. I'm just saying, like, make a decision. How is it going to be shown, right? Try to establish rules, grids, fonts, assignment, alignments, and size. Play by adding variables to those rules across the system. So have fun. The rules will gain impact when broken, right? Hierarchy level. Every hierarchy level must be quick. Every hierarchy level must be visibly distinct. Play with every variable you can think of, not just size, right? I mean, like, don't just make everything the same but smaller, and that's the thing. Like, get in there, you know. I'm gonna show you some examples now here, but micrographics are allowed. Lines, arrows, whatever it is, you can use them as supporting elements for your graphic system. This is what I meant. Get inside each hierarchy level, make something interesting with it. Don't just change the typeface and reduce the size. Every level is a design decision, not a formatting choice. This is not about making a publication ready for print. We are not chasing perfect legibility or editorial standard. We are trying to push systematic structure to the limit, right? You need to be intentional and decisive. And lastly, have fun and suffer, you know. Remember to have fun. Suffer, you're gonna do just by the sheer inertia of what you're going to do. But remember to have fun. If you're working like, what the fuck, just say, I'm having fun. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Why this exists? Systematic thinking is what lets you develop a larger narrative across a project instead of working in isolation piece by piece. It's the main difference between what separates a designer from a civilian, right? How to support the dojo. This is in the brief. So this is the assignment, guys. Let's go back, take a quick look at the topologies, right? Display topologies. You know, these are the ones that are meant to create impact. Usually they sit in the middle of the publication, or, you know, I was going to set out to make you do more pages, but I felt it was a lot. For a purely display page, maybe you need a bit more time so the system establishes itself, and then you break it and you make something that has a wow factor. But I want to see what you make. You know, let me know, guys, if you have any doubt or anything that you would like to ask me. But here are some examples. For example, this one, it's a mix of display and reading text. You know, I will be perfectly fine if some of y'all did something like this, you know. But we're working with spreads, remember. So stuff like this, right? Look at this. This is so beautiful. Mixed topologies, right? So a bit of display and a bit of consultation. This spread, it's crazy. Bro, I'm late. The summer heat is killing me. Oh, bro. Well, you can go back and watch this stream because I feel it's been really good what I explained, guys. Do you feel it was clear, guys? Like you sort of understand what I'm saying? You're gonna need to practice it, but did it settle some doubts you might have or anything? Yeah, guys, like this, like, to be honest, this is the hardest assignment, I feel, in terms of the work ethic that you're gonna need. But yeah, guys, like, it's very hard that you'll put through this on your own if you didn't do this assignment, right? I remember when I did, actually, let me show you, I have it here. Let me show you, I'm gonna show you two university that I did in uni. This is this exercise, but the one I did myself. My subject was Jorge Luis Borges, right? Argentinian author. And this was my deconstruction of the information, right? We needed to do a full A3, right? So A3 pages. Now I'm asking you to do spreads. The spread, it's a little bit harder because you need to think about the context of the two pages, right? So that's important. But yeah, I want to see what you do with the spread, you know? But you see here we have, I think the cover was this one, right? This was the cover. So Jorge Luis Borges, and I already was doing some glossary information. You can clearly see the grid in this one. It was good for first year of typography. Now looking back at it, it's pretty safe. I just put a lot of stuff in a box and it works, but I would love if you guys like try to do something a little bit extra. But if you manage to do something like this is great. So, you know, here we have a timeline, and this is what I meant, you see, like I'm showing a lot of like events in his life, and they are all the same, but some have an underline. This is pretty anecdotic, like why the fuck do they have an underline? But okay, all have some have an underline, and one it's like marked with a box, you know. So I'm adding hierarchy levels within the hierarchy level, you know what I mean? And for example, here we have in 1975, his mother dies at 99, and I don't make another step. Maybe I put this was the one, because the hierarchy level was each step has to do with a personal life matter. So death of her parents, got married. The awards go in the timeline, but they go in the interval, right? So they go 1979, wins the Cervantes Prize, signs with the board of writers, an open letter to the Clarín newspaper. So awards go in that year segment, but they don't get like a year notch. You know what I mean? So that's a typographic decision that you need to make on your system. Influences. Here you see Oscar Wilde, Voltaire, Victor Hugo, the play, you know, the work, that's the reference. The importance of calling yourself Ernest, you know. A little excerpt of the work. So that's what I mean. You need to design, like you're gonna find this, like what were the inspirations for your writer, and you're gonna find this writer, this book, this letter, this symphonic, whatever. You need to find a way of design that bit of information so it sits on your page, right? This may look complex, guys, but you can do this in your sleep. Any of you can grab this and design this, right? You can do this, like straight out copy it, try to copy it and use it in a different way. You know what I mean? And you see the Martin Fierro. The Martin Fierro, it's highlighted in a different way. Now I would have made difference. Like this is so lazy. Like I remember I thought I cooked in this one, and then the teacher was like, "It's okay, a 6." And she gave me a 6, and I was like, "What?" Now I look at it, it's a 6. It's a 6 because it's the bare minimum. You know, I did that thing. I did just do different size for everything. You know, it's almost the same font with a different size. So it's not really that creative, but it's orderly. You know what I mean? It fulfills the assignment. You know, but I did this like over 15 years ago. Here we have a glossary, you know, for terms. So here we have a short version of the Labyrinth of the Minotaur, right? And you can see here are some rules within the text itself. You can do this. Like the first letter, the illumination is gonna be in all caps, three lines tall. You're gonna have some bold letters in italic. Some text is gonna be highlighted with a box. So I guess one of the rules of the system that was that highlighted stuff was gonna be in a box. I'm so creative, guys. Illuminations, right? Pull quotes. I was going to write like this. You know, it's like a certain part of the text that I want to highlight. Annotations, here you can see Athena. Athena, here because he was a writer, so I'm giving emphasis to the word, to the letter, right? So A. And that's what I mean. Athena. Feminine substantive. Capital de Grecia, actualmente la ciudad más grande del país. Okay, so you need to design that block of information. This is super lazy. Don't do this, guys. You know, like design it in a better way. Right? Here's some characters: Asterion, Teseo, the folio, right? Here are other systems that I liked. For example, this is what I meant, you know? The break in the system can be maybe just one flip of colors. Maybe this. You know, there is a point in the system in when you go and you turn it around. And maybe it's just that. You don't need to make it like super crazy or whatever. Look at this system. Right? Esas viudas, qué dolor. Yeah. Yeah, this is so... bro. Yeah. Viudas. ¿De dónde sos? Viudas. We call it orphans or huérfanos. I mean, again, it really depends on the designer's personal style. Yes, it depends. But this is lazy. I mean, and you know what I mean? Like, you can do this for a client and it will be good, right? But that's like saying, yeah, you can go to the gym and bench 80 kilos. You can do that. That's good. Yeah, you can do that. You know what I mean? But you won't get any stronger. You know what I mean? Yes, totally. That's true for everything. Like, you can even ditch this entire class and nothing that I said has any material sense. You know, you could also say that, and that could be particularly true. You know, if you decided to go that route, right? But when you have a brief and you try to push hierarchy levels to the limit for the sake of training, you know, like, why do you go outside and run a marathon? Because you want to get stronger, right? This is the same. So with that in mind, this is lazy. That's what I mean. But what bro's saying is completely right. Like, take out the context and you can do whatever you want. But if you think like that, like, why would you put yourself through this? Like, Argentina, me las enseñó con ese nombre. We going philosophical again. Oh no, here we go again. So yeah, this is one. Let me show you now, guys. Like, let's go to our motion camera, the Osbot. Hi guys. Okay, 1 second. Sumu. I have two pieces that I want to show you. I think I already showed you some of these, but I mean, wouldn't do that, but somebody might be into top minimalism. Yeah. So, okay. This is a publication. Damn, bro. What the fuck? This is a publication. Can you hear me? This is a publication they do in my university every year. Every year they do it, showing the final works for typography number 2. So the second class of typography. This is called mythographies because the students needed to do their book around a Pict mythology. I wasn't in this book. This is my book, but this I did the year before that. So mine is not in here. Let me put this aside for a little bit. Look at my fucking Gengar. Sorry, Hunter. This is mine. This is my despot, bro. You see? Design Syndrome. You can get this. The link is in the bio, bro, for this despot. And also my keycaps. Look at my keycaps, bro. I designed this. It's for sale, like 1 of 0. This is my mat. But wait, I'm getting a sidetrack. So look at this. This was designed by one of my teachers. But all the works you're gonna see here, oh shit. All the works you're gonna see here are from students of my university, right? Let me, 1 second. Let me turn my lights on because that's better. Oh, sorry. It's giving a shadow. Fuck. Wait. Right, so here it's explaining like the idea for the book, and here are the works from the students, right? These are from other students from a university. This is typography Longinotti was the class because you had to pick like your teacher, and this teacher is how I learned to do typography and the idea I have for this assignment that we're doing, right? I'd rather you do something crazy like this. Like, don't focus that much on readability. Make it expressive first, you know, but look at those levels of information, you know. This is what I mean. Like, get really granular, you know. Look at this. There you have a breaking point, you know. Ooh, look at this. Yeah, of course, bro. Longinotti for life. Saludos desde Argentina, bro. Yeah. Actually, I might this year at the end, I'm gonna go to my uni and I'm gonna go to show you. I want to do a blog showing you like the final assignment of the year. So the final works of every class. That's gonna be crazy. Do some interviews. Let's go. Yeah, but I mean, you can do this with Illustrator. You don't need like super crazy features to do this, you know, like. But this was done with no AI, no AI for the research. So super. Look at that. That's crazy, right? I'm from Argentina. I'm gonna try for the next. I'm gonna try for the next dojo class to. I can't make this assignment live because it will take too much time. But I'm gonna try to put some assets down and try to maybe do a spread or make a quick composition, you know, with that for the next stream. You know, but you know, so yeah, every year they do like this compilation with the work of all the students and show the best ones, you know. The Uniblog live? No, I would need like a stream cam, and I don't have that, and I don't want to buy that. I'd rather do a video and just make it good, you know. Do we need to use Illustrator? I don't have the Adobe Suite. I mean, try to get your hands on it, bro. Like try to. Maybe you can do it with whatever you can get your hands on. But I mean, try to get Illustrator, you know, or maybe you can use Affinity, but you need to use like vectorial software. The ones that want to try to do it in InDesign, you can try, you know. I've used InDesign for mine, and it's not that bad. For some stuff, it's good. Oof. Shit. That's beautiful, bro. What the fuck? And this was done by students, bro. What do you mean? Look at that, bro. Oh, this one was by Angelo. This dude, like, go follow him. He's called Whispering Sea, the Whispering Sea on Instagram, and he be doing this work since we were in uni. I didn't went to class with him, but I knew him because he was crazy, bro. I don't really want to get trapped in the Adobe subscription rabbit hole. Yeah, I don't know what to say to you there. Like, it's industry standard. At the end of the day, it's industry standard. Like, you're hurting yourself by not. But yeah, I guess now there you have more options. So if you're completely fine with the other options and you can work and it's all the same, then by all means, maybe I'm trapped. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's like it's not, once you're working, it's not that much to pay for the subscription. Now let me show you my entry for this assignment, but for my year, right? So this was mine. Wooden cover, laser cut, aborigen, right? Over here. So this is so cooked. Right? This is like the chapter break. So this is what you see when you enter a new chapter, right? But look at these topologies, bro. In this one I cooked. This one I cooked for it. But this was typography too. This was the second year. This was supposed to be, the subject matter for this was to be like a cross reference between the mixed DNA of the originary tribes from Argentina and Latin America. So that's what it's called, aborigen. So it's aborigine, but aborigine, you know, gene of genome. So it's aborigine. You know, but this information, it's all made up. Like, I did some research, but at the end I needed the information to add up so I could make like something cool. So look at this. And something really cool, I accidentally left the grid on. You see the grid? I accidentally, when I went to do a test print, I want to do a test print for this the class before the final deliver for this, and I accidentally left the grid on the file, and the teacher told me it was fire, and it actually linked with the concept, because if I'm talking about the genome of the genetic structure, then the grid is the genetic structure of the publication, so it made sense, and that's what was by mistake. And I feel the grid is what gives it the entire personality. You can see the grid, right? Index. But again, this particular piece of work was more sorry. Again, this particular piece of work was editorial, but this was also information design, right? This was about schematics, right? So schematics, it's a different. We are not gonna do schematics in the dojo. We might, but no, schematics is really hard, and it's also super punctual, but it's how you design information, like in charts. We could do one, but it's gonna be pretty crazy. But this was editorial plus schematics. I think this one was called the hypertext, if I can remember correctly. No, you can't get a copy. This is a one of one. One of one. This is the only one. Yo, it's fire. So yeah, there we have it, guys. Oh shit. Let me go have a bit of water. Ask me any questions or whatever you want. So I feel that's kind of understand it, So let me show you. Let me show you the mockup that you're gonna be using. So this is the mockup. You can download it. If you go to my site, you go to Freestash. This is the one. I just uploaded it. ¿Cuánto le llevaba de tiempo hacer eso? ¿Un cuatri completo? Sí, un cuatrimestre completo. O sea, 4 meses. That book took 4 months to make. No, wait. I'm lying. No, less. But around there, like 2 months. 2 months for sure. So this one, to unlock, you just subscribe and you get an email. And if you are already subscribed, you won't get an email. So go to the server, go to the assignment board, and you're gonna have the link here. Download the free. You click, and it's gonna give you to the download page. And here you click, and it's gonna download. Oh, for example, here I used a Claude to gather all the information I could about Dostoevsky. All the info, the data, some excerpts of the textbooks. But there is some stuff I'm gonna look on my own, because there is information that I know I want to use. There is a specific chapter about a strange man that appears, the stranger, and I want to use that entire chapter as the main part that I want to talk about. So that I'm gonna look away from this, because I already know what I want to use, right? But it was just to show you, how you can get your structure kind of laid out, And you can use all of this to start to design something. So let's just make another page, right? And let's work on centimeters, right? So maybe this is an A4, right? This is one page. So maybe we work like this in 2 pages, right? So I'm going to go to my mockup, and this is for the last part. So let's say I start like placing some elements here. This is a document that I always use, and let's say I start like this, to play a little bit. I start to position some elements. And I start like playing. Maybe I like this double column over here. Maybe play with this. Oh, I like this. Maybe you could use that for a. I don't know. Here I'm just doing something really quick just to have something to show you. No, I'm gonna grab this graphic here, and I'm sketching something really quick. I'm just grabbing literally whatever that I can find here, just to come up with something to show you. We don't like this. I don't even using my information here. I'm just putting something to. I'm just literally just placing some elements to get a sort of structure kind of going, but in a pretty like sketch-like kind of way. I'm not even like paying attention to what this even is. I'm just trying to lay out a quick structure. You should be a little bit further apart. If you were to do like a column, you would do something like this. You would grab the text and do like a column, and let's say I go to my text here that I have this excerpt, let's say, and maybe you paste it like that. But let's say the text, I'm gonna do like, just to show you, I'm gonna do a lot, so paste it a lot, so make it really long. And maybe you want to do like this, but it's up to here. You click here, you see this little plus sign that you see here, you click it, and then you know, and it's gonna continue the text, right? So that way, if I do this, you see how it compensates, and that way you can work with big blocks of text, right? Here the correct way would be to do something more like this, maybe. Right? Maybe this is our running header. So it's like that. Yeah, you're gonna need to, Illustrator is gonna be far better for you for this assignment. Right, so maybe I put this here. Maybe this also. I don't know, random composition. You know, you're gonna do this with your information, right? I just want to show you. Rotate. It's really fun once you get into the role. When you enter into the role, it's kind of like you're just in the zone. You know what I mean? Like it's super fun. And actually, if you really nail these guys, like this is a piece that you can use for your portfolio. You know what I mean? Like this really shows you that you have range. You know, you don't just really make a cute little poster and it's done. You know, nothing wrong about that, but there is levels to this absolute shit. You know what I mean? And to be able to make a solid typographic system, it's gonna be a massive asset. You know, so please, guys, if you value the dojo in any way, like give it your all in this assignment, and everything will be so easy. Right after this will be fun and games till the biennial set. The biennial set's gonna be hell again, but you know, I need some micrographics, like really small, like this, whatever. Here the idea is that, like, I'm just doing this fast to show you, right? I'm doing this fast to show you guys, right? This is not for you to copy this way of working, right? I'm using my pre-made library of assets. But actually, that micrographics pack, it's mine. Like that, all those graphics are here. This is the pack. This is mine. All that you have here. And but again, let's say this is here. And maybe you signal something inside the text in bold, right? And maybe you use this little arrow. We're gonna use it to signal there is something here, right? So we use that little line there for here, and we use it also here. You know? Right. And okay, let's say I arrived at this. Now, what I would do is go to your layers. The hell? What the helly? What the helly bonkers? What the helly vanilli? Let me put this here. And this is a small. Can we use vectors? Not like this. You can use micrographics. Actually, let me take this out so you don't fucking complain. And actually, let's use that. And let's force our composition. Now that we have this, we can do like this. And this will be flushed. Right? Where is my layers panels, bro? Layers here. Here, and let's just make another layer on top of everything. And here, let's start to lay some lines, you know, like really like this. And let's use a vibrant color. Maybe we start to lay some lines, right? Some that we intuitively we already added. right? So now we grab this that I know is the same, and let's move it here. What is this gutter? If we go Control K, we can use the to Control K, or if you go to go to Edit Preferences, General, and you go to the increment. And I want to say my increment is gonna be 1 millimeter, so 0.1 centimeters. So that's gonna be 0.1. So that's 1 millimeter. So now I can put it like this, and if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is 6 millimeters. And I know that works for the gutter, so I'll just use that. And maybe I can go like this, and from the edge of the page, I want to be at 1 centimeter. Yes. Okay, so there we have it. And maybe I want to go like that. And this one, let's go double. So it's gonna be 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's my inner margin, right? Now you gotta go to the top. And let's lay the same line. And there's where everything's gonna sit. This was right. So now I can say my top element on the grid is gonna be flush left. So like that, you start building your system. You know what I mean? Like that. See how everything was just a bit off kilter. So let's move it properly. So once you have something that you're kind of happy with your grid, you can start moving it later. Like, don't worry about it. And I just like that. And maybe I want to add like a middle line inside my grid. I'm just gonna eyeball this, you know what I mean? Maybe that has a middle point. This one has a middle point also, right? And maybe that's how I make this. That's gonna give me a proper size for my, what was this? For my folio. Now I need to rearrange this so it's cooking. Right, and maybe, okay, this is my grid. I'm gonna disable it, but now I'm gonna lock it, and I lock my grid, right? And now I can start keep playing with everything that I was playing, making sure I'm not. So let's see what happens if I move a notation here, right? Or I put it here or here. And if I have a bunch of notations, and if the notation is like this, and maybe again this works smaller, and I put it here, and it goes like this, and maybe the E it's in another font bigger, and it's printing over the text because he's having seizures, you know. So maybe the text is having seizures as well. Maybe the text is doing something like this, right? Right, so the rule is that the text is gonna sit like that, like the notations, or maybe the notations are like this also. right now. So let's grab our grid, grab the grid, copy, paste it. Let's invert it, move it to the other page. Okay, you make it look pretty there. Let's lock this. Question, you may have answered already, but how come you are using shapes and not grid lines to set your gutter? Because because it's the same. Like I'm using it as a line. I'm using the tool. You can use whatever tool you want that makes a line. Here I'm using it as a line. I don't want to use the built-in tool for the grid because I want to have more control over it. I rather make it by hand so I can adjust it. But because let's say I'm start playing with my composition and I realize that maybe this, for example, this hierarchy level, maybe I realize that I don't want to do. Maybe I want the annotations to be smaller. So maybe I want to set them like this, right? Let's say I want to set them like this on this end, right? And I want to move this hierarchy level, this grid line, I want to move it. I want to move this entire segment. I want to move it closer to here, and I want to add one more asymmetric grid on the other side, right? For that I would need to add another here. Here I'm eyeballing it, but doing it with your proper jumps, so it's all cohesive. And maybe I want to do it like that, right? The built-in tool won't give you the option to do that. It will only give you the tool to make it completely symmetrical, right? Maybe I want to do this middle. You see the middle one doesn't have a gutter because I'm never gonna divide a paragraph like that. I'm going this middle split. I only gonna use to put or an annotation or something that's gonna never arrive at the other limit. So I can use it like that in this way. So that's why I'm doing it in a separate layer. All right, so let me go back on this just to show you. That. So let's invert it. Like that. Right, and now you put everything. Once you set your grid properly, you start to set everything like better aligned, Put everything proper there. Again, guys, this I'm doing just super quick to show you like a mode of working. No, they are layer lines. It's a layer with lines. They're not even lines. They are literally like squares, like shapes. But I did it in this way. You want to use lines, use lines. It's the same. I want you to live with the idea of what I'm doing, not like specific buttons of what I'm pressing. Let me grab just a random quote from bro. Man is a mystery. For example, something like this, let's say. I love my Longinus. And this needs to be all caps. Oh, why? Okay, something like this. Literally doesn't matter. So now let's go to a mockup, and in the mockup you can, let's get rid of this. All the content goes here in the content group. So if I get rid of this, let's just drop this inside. And what I would do is like make a new group, like drop it inside, and let's just put one of our pages here. This is pretty big file, so don't worry about the formatting. Just put it there. Something that sits along the grid you put together. Let's put the other page now. Select everything. Oh, sorry. It was better if I did like this. Sit in the middle. And now you can select any of the yellow layers that has the linked in the name. So if I select that layer and press Ctrl T, I can deform the entire mockup like that. You see? And there you have it. And you know, and let's call this group, let's call it spread 1. Right? And if for some reason, let's say you wanted to use the other colors, you can do, just to make it simpler, maybe let's get rid of these numbers. Maybe the numbers, oh, let's, I had a mistake. It needs to be like this, so it's consistent with the other. So maybe this, and this, and this little, that there. Maybe that I want to make it, I don't know, red, right? So I'm gonna copy those, and in here I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna paste again. I'm gonna just line it up. And just like that, you know, here you can save it. You save it as a PNG with transparent background. And once you have all of your spreads, you put them in a single black background, and you show me the page sequence, and that's your entry. You know what I mean? Super simple. But again, guys, hope the demonstration like helped with something. You know what I mean? At least of showing you a possible way of working. And this, I'm gonna save it actually. I don't think I'm gonna do this particular composition for my spread sequence. Fyodor. What? As I say, you're the dark web graphic designer from YouTube. This live stream is incredible. Thanks a lot. Oh, let's go. So glad you liked it. Yeah. Let me know what you thought about the stream, guys. If you found this helpful, you're gonna do the assignment, please. That would mean so much to me if you did this assignment. I spent 2 days writing the the brief, bro. And this is a really key assignment because, guys, like after this, we're gonna do other more poetic assignments. We're gonna do a visual poem. Then we're gonna to do the random object poster. We're gonna do some fun ones. You know what I mean? So this is like the build up to a really important place. Once this is done, we're gonna go to easier assignments, and we're gonna start to build up again to the hard, the premium vinyl, the full template vinyl template. That's gonna be another one. I'm gonna give you a free mockup that's gonna be paid on my website for that one. So if the dojo gets traction and we end up doing that, I'm gonna give you that. you know, this mockup I'm gonna give you all for free. Let me um, like this will be the full project. That's gonna be the other one that's gonna be difficult. We're gonna do a full vinyl release, and yeah, you're gonna need to make a playlist, put it on Spotify, you know, and for the playlist you're gonna need to make a full vinyl set, right? And the booklet will need to be 2 or 3 pages, you know what I mean? But you need to gonna have to design the entire system, and this is gonna be hard. But again, guys, if you commit and you do it really good, like you have a solid portfolio piece, you know, solid, and it's about to be about a project that you care about, you know. It's not like it's something that you're gonna post and it's gonna be that. It's like you're gonna build a playlist about your favorite music and put it there and make a consolidated project that's out there. People want to listen, then they can, you know. It's not something that lives in you did it for whatever, you know. You're gonna need to think about a concept, do the playlist, and do the concept art for it, you know. So that's gonna be really cool, and it's gonna be far easier if you do this assignment first, you know. It's gonna be far easier, and after that we are gonna make a full scene with everything that we did over the year. And if you just join the dojo, you can make the scene about stuff you did in your year, you know, like stuff, projects that you did, your work, right? But we're gonna make a full scene, like a small little booklet, and we're gonna print it and make the scene, and that's gonna be real. That's gonna be the last assignment, right? But this is the first like filter, let's say. I know a lot of you are not gonna do this, but hopefully after this you're gonna try it, because you're gonna learn a lot from it. But it's gonna be hard, you know what I mean? Yeah, I already told you where you can get the mockup, right? But yeah, something like this. You saw, guys, I made this really quick, right? But again, get in there and design the experience, right? So yeah, do you have any questions, guys? Let me know if you want to talk about something. We can do that. We are done already with the stream. Now if you want to talk about whatever, we can do that. I have a bit of time. They're already 5 p.m. She. I'm working on the tutorial for trace paper to show you how to do it from scratch, and I want to release that. But I also have a bunch of other asset packs that I need to finish, bro. Like, look at this mockup. Who wants this mockup? Like, let me know, actually. Oh shit, I don't know, I'm not showing anything. Mm. This is a mockup. Yeah, it's the one from the Pro bundle. But there is ones that I haven't released. Oh, this is the one that I used. Let's go. Oh yeah, this is a goated mockup, bro. And I'm working on that. I also have what else? I'm working on my old asset packs. You remember Necronomicon? Like, look at this. These are all processed already with effects. So, these are really good. But I'm working on, because these are all images, like I'm just being completely straight with you guys, that I took from publicly available images. I just worked on them to isolate them, and I also did some refining on the images and isolated them, so you can just drag and drop them, you know, to make them look like that. But I cleaned them up. I manually selected all the images from the originals and pulled them out. So I want to build a list in which I show you where I got them from also, you know, all the sites that I used to gather the images, and maybe it comes with a tool to help you extract them also. That could be really cool. But yeah, the point of the asset pack is just to save you time into collecting them and making a really cool curation of them. But, and it has some frames also. You know, I'm working on this one as well. And I'm working on more, but I can show you. Oh, guys, one more thing. Like, when you're working with the book, make. Oh no, you don't need to make an extra. No, it's okay, because it's a bunch of smart layers, so it's not gonna get pixelated. So yeah, that's it. That's it, guys. Estaría buenísimo que algún día muestres el proceso para armar los mockups. Reconozco que es muy de nicho, pero es algo que tengo pendiente para aprender a hacer. Okay. Yeah, I will make a mockup tutorial. It's not hard particularly. The hardest part is to take a good picture to do the mockup. That's the hardest part, actually. You drew dreams from scratch? No. Like I told you, these are from all public domain images. I just took the time to separate everything. I manually like scratch them out with my Wacom tablet, manually draw and not draw, like cut them out and process them to give them that look, that grunge finish. But yeah, the point of the asset pack really is the curation and the time you save into selecting them. But I want to be clear when I re-release the asset pack to let you know that. So I want to do also like a full list of all the sites and how you can get them on your own and find like a massive library, you know what I mean? But yeah, those are public domain images, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's it, my guys. If everything good, we're gonna be finishing the stream. It's been a really good one. I really hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. You already know how it is. Hope to see you all in the path. You have the link for everything down in the description below. And yeah, you already know how it is. See you in the path, my guys. Bye bye.